The following video you are about to watch contains adult language. Probably didn't need to say that, but I will, because just in case someone is bothered by that. Tacos. Hey, hi-ho, and howdy, everybody. My name is Shannon L. Shook, and today I'm thinking about talking about something just a little bit extra. Hey, hi-ho, and howdy, everybody. My name is Shannon L. Shook, and welcome yet again to another episode of the Nomad of Nowhere Review Cap. It is good to be back. This one's a little later than I would have preferred. Had a lot of weird things go on today. It's been and when I say today, I mean the day the episode came out on YouTube. Stuff is weird. Anyway, we are here to talk about, as I mentioned before, kind of, but not really, episode 3 of Nomad of Nowhere, Trouble on Purpose. If you guys remember, in the last episode, we left off where the Nomad had been going on through Bliss Hill and then just ruined everything because the poor bastard just doesn't know how to handle life anymore, and it's real sad. And there was also some funny moments and maybe a cool moment or two. It's what happens in this show. It's how it do. So yeah, this episode can primarily be divided up into 2 major sections. Let's go over the more, I would say, self-contained kind of, the simpler one to go over, and that would be the section regarding Scott. Fuck that all the way up, dude. I'm shipping them so much, I'm fucking up the names to make it say Scoff. Anyway, point is, Scout and Toph, on their adventure that Don Paragon mentions in the previous episode. He mentioned basically, well, I got this little thing that needs handled on the outskirts, and this is what it is. Basically, Scout and Toph and the rest of the Dandelions get sent off on a little mission to go and acquire some oil from this little oil pump fella and their family in exchange for water. Makes sense. It's simple. See how you do. You pull that off. Inspire confidence in the crazy little man, Schnee person, boy, monster creature. Anyway, so Scout and Toph are there to switch out oil in exchange for water. They go up there and meet the family that's running it. It's this fella and his wife, and basically it comes down to, well, they're having very, very hard times because not only is the pump destroyed, the original owner or runner of the pump and all that passed away, and they have no way to fix it. They only have a small amount of oil, which isn't what they had originally, enough to trade what they were originally going to trade. That, and basically they decide they have to save that oil for crops. And it's here that Toph basically comes out to them and like, hey, like, I understand, but rules are rules here. You gots to give me the stuff, or I'm gonna go back to the Don. He's gonna be pissed, and then someone might just have to die, because that's the world we live in. I'm the muscle. I do as I was told, and it kind of is kind of interesting because we get a little bit of insight into Toph as a person. You're not an abundance of it, but a little bit. 2 things I'd say in particular is, again, she seems to have a bit of a sympathetic side towards the farmer pump oilman person. When they're discussing things, she does seem to, care a little bit and feel bad for them and understand their situation, though she basically just understands that when it comes down to it, rules are rules. She has to finish her job. She has to do what she has to do, you know what I'm saying? She ends up going on and threatening them and all that, only to get intercepted by Scout, who offers to fix the pump in exchange, and, fix the pump, make things better, no one has to die, anything like that. But yeah, and the other thing we kind of learn about her is that Toph and Null, the fella I mentioned before in the first episode, voiced by Stephen Fu, is one of the, they apparently are from the same group. assumedly like a tribe or something. I assume it's almost like Native American-esque, and it's like a tribe. They mentioned them being the Yadala. I don't know anything about this. I'm interested to learn more, because I'm interested to learn more about Toth. Again, she's personally my least favorite so far, but I'd like to learn more so that she doesn't be that thing that I said. We also get a little bit more fun moments from Santi and Jethro, which I like to point out. I find it funny that Santi, whenever talking to Jethro, constantly says his name. Just, he's never like, yo, what up, dude? How you do? He's like, what did I tell you, Jethro? It's like, I don't know, it's funny to me. I like that. I like those little quirks and how people talk sometimes. But anyway, yeah, so Scout offers to fix everything, and basically the Dandelions and Toth are like, yeah, fuck it, just let her do it. Let the little child person get done what needs to be done. So she goes off and ends up fixing the pump, only to find out and reveal to everyone that, well, that wasn't really the problem. I mean, it's not in a great way, for sure, but the biggest problem was that the well's dry, so you're gonna have to go somewhere else. And basically, it ends with the people running it going, okay, yeah, I guess we have to leave, so, I mean, just fine, just take the oil, we'll do what we can to get by. In exchange for the water, and the amount of water they get is an incredibly small amount, and Scout even remarks on, like, dude, that's fucking ridiculous. We took, like, giant barrels of oil, and they got 2 little jugs of water. Which definitely. Speaking of people with their fucked up quirks and the way they talk, damn. Which definitely paints an interesting picture for, yeah, it doesn't paint a very kind picture of the Don and how he operates and what he's willing to do, but then again, we kind of saw that in the last episode as well. Yeah, we also get another really small little thing from Scout mentioning, being the pump and things like that reminded her of back home. So I'm curious to know if she is perhaps from a different place in nowhere, or if it's just like, hey, my home, which is like 20 miles that direction. I don't know. I'd like to see more. We'll just have to wait and see. Also, they see the water wheel from the last episode rolling on by, and that pisses Toth off because she knows that she should be able to go after the Nomad, but because she can't, because the Dawn is the fucking Dawn. Anyway, and then pretty much wraps up all of what happens with Scout and Toth. Beyond that, the other section of the episode is all devoted to the Nomad, Bat, and Bliss Hill. And the fella we saw at the end of the last episode, fella by the name of the Ranch Hand. Yeah, which I realized I could have said his name in the last one. I didn't want to because I was like, oh, well, you can't do that because it doesn't get said till the third episode. His name's in the credits of the second episode. I absolutely could have. I'm stupid. Anyway, point is, so yeah, the Nomad side of the story takes off almost immediately where it left off in the previous episode. Nomad left. Very, very shortly after that, the ranch hand ends up strolling up into town, being like, "Hey, I'm looking for the Nomad. You seen him? You know where he is?" And the sheriff goes out of his way to be like, "No, we don't. We never seen him. Don't know what you're talking about. He ain't here. Nothing like that. No." Only to get fucked over by what I can only describe as one of the dumbest RT characters ever. And I mean, Caboose exists, so that takes some fucking skill. Anyway, basically ends up tipping the ranch hand off in a very non-subtle way, which brings the ranch hand to be like, okay, cool, you guys know where he is. You're going to find him. You're going to bring him back here to me, or I'm just going to start killing kids, because that's the kind of person I do. As I do like this. It brings me to a thing of the show is I do like it because it does its part to balance serious and comedy a lot. I like things that do that. I know a lot of people have discussed what they had expected of the show and what it ended up being. I think it comes down a little bit to how the RT gang did what little they did to actually describe what the show was going to be like. They described it in a very interesting way, and I think it painted a way more serious of a picture than it should have. That being said, I don't have too much of a problem with it because I was gonna fucking watch it anyway, and I don't give a fuck. But yeah, the show is generally speaking a lot more obviously comedic than it is serious. That being said, it does know how to do a serious moment pretty well. Though I do think, and this is just a personal thing, is I don't think the art style lends itself to serious nearly as much as I personally would like it. And again, it's not a criticism so much as it's my personal feelings on the subject. It's just the way my brain works. I'm like, oh, this is a really cute thing, and that guy's gonna strangle a kid. That, I don't know how I feel about this. It conflicts in my brain box, and it's one of the things. I'm totally still gonna watch it anyway. I'd like the show altogether. It's just, personally, I would have been interested to see what could be done with different art styles. I guess that basically is my thoughts on the subject. Anyway, point is, again, the ranch hand comes in and starts threatening people. After that point, the sheriff goes on to go and find the Nomad and basically beg him, like, hey, you fucked everything up. Can you please come and save my fucking boy? I don't want him to get murderized by this frickin' McCree wannabe. I don't... We ain't got time for this. It's actually, I should go on back to the reason, I would assume the reason the ranch hand has his name is he mentions having gone to the Iron Border, which is this place we mentioned in the last episode, which I'm assuming is a much more kind of almost like steampunk, technologically advanced version or location in nowhere, because it's where he gets this giant metal arm that'll runs like a goddamn chainsaw and shit. So I'm very much under the impression that that is what the Iron Border is. It is this kind of technologically advanced, steampunky sort of place, and until we see differently, it's probably what it is. Anyway, so yeah, the sheriff goes up to, I can't remember what it is. It's the something cavern. It's the place they Barty mentions off the top of his head in the previous episode. We've been talking about the rest of the Mill Preservation Society, but he ends up meeting the Nomad up there, and again, basically like, hey, can you help me? He's got Barty. Can you come and, do something right? You cause a lot of trouble, so how you feel about maybe causing a little bit of trouble on purpose? Roll credits. Anyway, and it basically convinces the Nomad to come in and save the day. So the Nomad ends up showing up and prepares to have a showdown with the ranch hand, which goes about as well as someone would probably expect, in that the ranch hand beats the ever-living shit out of him for a minute or two. He ends up, his arm's got the big old extendo arm hand McDude. Ah, fuck. My man went to the Nucklevy school of grabbing things. And ends up swinging, knocking homeboy into the inn. And actually kind of leads to one of my favorite scenes in the episode, which is just the Nomad bringing the entire bar to life. Like the piano, the door, the card and the tables, all the glasses and the bottles, which I'd like to point out that I know it's a comedy, and we're trying to laugh here, and there's funny moments. Can we talk about how the one bottle that slaps the whiskey or whatever totally falls off the bar and explodes and dies? That's death. That's so fucked up. It doesn't feel fucked up because you're like, oh, it's cute, it's nothing. No, it's dead. That thing had a life, and now it doesn't have it anymore because it slapped a bottle of whiskey. It's a dark fucking world. Anyway. Yeah, the ranch hand gets kind of played around with in the inn for a little bit, or in the tavern, and before noticing the Nomad knocking him through the roof and eventually into the jail, where he ends up running across the, assumedly the deputy or whatever of Bliss Hill, who has locked himself, both handcuffed himself and locked the fucking jail cell, because he's like, oh, I wonder if I can get out of it. Fucking no, we can't. So anyway, he ends up jumping into the jail, ends up noticing the deputy, ends up taking the handcuffs off of him, and decides like, hey, I can probably use these against the ranch hand, which he totally says because the Nomad is such a fucking talker. Anyway, it's at this point that the ranch hand goes back out and ends up getting kind of played around with by the Mill Preservation Society kids who fucking around with him with the clapping of the hands and shooting rocks at him, and eventually leads to him grabbing Barty again and be like, hey, shit, we're right back to where we was. You can't come and save him there, boy? Turns around to the jail. Nomad's all like, sup, bitch? I was trying to see how I could do sup, bitch, but without actually delivering any noise. That doesn't work. Damn it. Anyway, point is, the Nomad ends up luring him over there. The ranch hand swings and tossing his hand in there. The Nomad handcuffs him to the jail cell and ends up pulling the ranch hand's arm off. And very, very early on in the fight, Barty ends up telling him, hey, you should go for his arm. It's a metal arm. You can just bring his fucking arm to life and have it beat the shit out of him. And he tries that multiple times, but keeps missing and instead ends up hitting all the knives that's on his, side and whatnot. But it's during this that he pulls his arm off and ends up knocking the Nomad out, only for him to wake up with it sitting in his lap. And during this time, when the ranch hand makes his way back over to him, he ends up bringing the arm to life. But the problem is apparently, for whatever reason, the Nomad could not bring the arm to life while it was still attached to the ranch hand's body. And I'm wondering what the exact reasoning for that is. I find it interesting, and I definitely find it a potentially interesting way to have more bounty hunters or antagonistic characters in the future pose a problem for the Nomad, because if Nomad can bring things to life but can't bring to life, the primary weapons of potentially some very dangerous people, especially if the Iron Border is a big thing in relation to bounty hunters or anything like that. Anytime the Iron Border is going to end up posing a problem in that way, if it's going to be more cyborg-style people, which, can we just say, RT, you got a bit of a cyborg fetish. Don't get me wrong, I do too. I'm just saying, there's so many arms and legs missing on people, and entire right sides of people's bodies and crotches. Point is, yeah, he ends up bringing the ranch hand's arm to life, who doesn't realize, and then just starts getting beaten the shit out of himself, which I also found probably my favorite joke in the episode, which is like, I have had it up to hit, and then his arm's missing, so it doesn't work, so he had to switch to the other arm. I thought it was funny. Anyway, his arm ends up beating the shit out of the ranch hand, which runs him out of town. All funny, like, hey, you big fella, you's a big baby, ha ha ho, goo goo gaga, you fuck. Anyway, and ends up saving the day by getting rid of the ranch hand. And it's here that everyone kind of comes here like, hey, you ain't so bad. And after all that, while they're rebuilding the town, the sheriff's all like, hey man, you did a good job. You fucked some stuff up, but you tried to do what was right, and in the end, you ended up saving my boy, and that's what really matters. So thank you very much. That being said, you got to get the fuck out of here, because we can't have more people like that douchebag showing up. So the Nomad ends up leaving without even mentioning anything to Barty in particular and the other kids, which makes me wonder if it's going to be the last time we see them. A part of me kind of really hopes that it isn't. A part of me kind of really hopes that Barty and potentially the other kids end up following, the Nomad away, especially since they went out of the way to name Eugene, Barty, and Dolores, especially considering Dolores never even, had her name said. I don't know. It's whereas, say, like, the sheriff and the other people in the town didn't. So it makes me kind of wonder and kind of hope, personally, that the kids end up coming along for the ride with the Nomad and whatnot. If that's actually going to happen, I don't know. To be honest, I didn't realize they were going to continue on with Bliss Hill in the last episode. So I wasn't expecting to see them after that first outing in the first place. So I'm interested to see if they do end up deciding to come along in the end. And I would actually personally like to see that. If it doesn't end up happening, that's fine. I'm also interested to see where we go from here. Again, I mentioned, wonder if it's going to be one of those things where we just go from town to town and end up running into perhaps different bounty hunters. It raises the question if the ranch hand's going to be perhaps a reoccurring villain character, or if he's just going to be one of a number of potential like bounty hunters and stuff like that going after the Nomad, of course, alongside Toth and Red Manuel and Don. Paragon, and with El Rey in the background doing all kinds of who knows what the fuck. And really the last thing to mention in this episode is when the Nomad is leaving again, the little flash of light that we saw on his chest after he saved Scout and Toth and the gang happens again. And it raises the question of what exactly that is supposed to mean. It seems to happen every time he potentially does like a good deed or he saves someone, considering the 2 times it happened so far. What that means, what it does, why it's there, I don't know, but I'd like to know more. So hopefully here in the future we'll be able to figure out what that means and where it's going. And I'm enjoying the show. I'm enjoying it. Damn right I am. I'm enjoying the show a lot so far, and I'm very interested to see what else we can get out of it, where we go from here, and how much we're going to see. I haven't seen the latest episode to come out yet, because obviously at the time of recording this, I don't think the episode came out yet. Like, they were having delay issues for getting the 4th episode out. That being said, also, I'm kind of getting a little worried, because I don't know 100% what my first situation is going to be in the next day to multiple months. I had like some weird stuff go on with my account, and I don't know what's the deal with it. I'm trying to figure it out, but potentially I'm gonna be fine, and I'm gonna have first again for the next couple months. But I also don't know. I don't know. It's weird. Stuff's going on. Anyway, point is, so also, yeah, another thing, I realize at this point the episode's totally ended, so I could be like, hey, yeah, and that's the episode, and I liked it. But yeah, for those of you who are also Rooster Teeth fans, I would assume you are if you're watching this. Maybe you're not. Maybe just like, I just saw this one time on YouTube. I guess the 3rd episode of, or this episode of Nomad was trending at one point, like trending at #1. What the fuck is that about? Dude, this shit was mind-bending when it was fucking Ruby, the finale of Ruby Volume 5, and I'm like, it's the 3rd episode of Nomad? YouTube, you don't make no sense. I approve, because you're showing some love to something that I like. But YouTube, you don't make no fucking sense. All that being said, I kind of actually really want to throw out a quick... I really hope everyone is doing okay on the, like, I'll give YouTube as much shit as I possibly can, but I know the last week or so hasn't been the kindest to them, so I hope everyone is doing good after the fucking crazy nightmare shit and that fucking lunatic bitch. Anyway, the point is, I hope everyone's good. I enjoyed this episode. If you guys enjoyed the episode, then by all means, tell me all about it. Tell me what you guys are thinking. Tell me what you guys are thinking about the story. Please, fucking interact. Maybe that'll mean someone will actually watch the fucking episode. It was crazy, too. I did the first episode, and it was like, hey, like 40 people watched. And the second episode came out, and I'm like, 3 did. Oh, it broke my fucking heart. But hopefully it was just a one-time thing. I don't know. Probably not. They were like, I watched 4 seconds of it. It's terrible. Shit. Anyway, that's all I really have to say for this episode. If you guys liked it, go ahead and double hit the like button, comment button, subscribe button, and share buttons. That's all mean the world to me, and I'd love to hear more from you guys. What you guys thought of my video, what you guys thought of the episode in general. Please, by all means, tell me about it. I do have a couple quick things, though, related to review caps and such on the channel. Number one, as I mentioned in, I think, the last episode, I'm having troubles with the last 2 episodes of Ruby. We will get there very, very shortly, I hope. I'm sorry that it's taken as long as it has. It needs to get done. We're so fucking close. I've almost fucking finished a whole fucking volume. Admittedly, I cheated, but I've almost finished an entire volume, and we're gonna get there. I promise. I swear to God. 2, especially since I want to get it finished, because in just a week or 2, How long is that away? I should be able to use basic maths, but I can't because I'm stupid. The 15th is Sunday, 2 weeks from now. Sunday of next week, I should say. So yeah, Red vs. Blue is going to be coming back next week. I guess it'll be next week for me. Again, potentially. I don't know what my first situation is. But as long as my first situation is fine, it'll be next week for me. So very, very, very shortly here, I'm going to be starting a review cap for Red vs. Blue Season 16. And I am hoping to see you guys, or at least anyone who cares about that, to come along with me and enjoy it. I did see the little trailer that they had for it, and I'm intrigued, I'm excited, I'm looking to see more. I know Joe had mentioned a couple things, and at first I was incredibly confused, and then I was remembering, like, shit that he had mentioned before, and I'm like, oh, that's what you fucking meant by fucking time travel. Okay, so, yeah, I'm intrigued, and I'm hoping to see more, and I'm 100% gonna try to do videos on that. As for other review cap stuff, if I'm not mistaken, did the first episode of Persona 5 animation just come out? Or did a prologue or some shit just come out? I'm going to take a look at that, and if that's worth talking about, and it's Persona 5, so probably is going to be worth talking about, I'm going to potentially be doing videos on that, because I want to. I fucking love that game. That, and I know Darling in the Franxx, I did one episode of that, and I need to do more. So I'm going to try to do that soon. There's tons of new shit coming out on the anime side of things that I would like to do and get started on and have a good time with. So we're going to see. We're going to see what we can do about any of that. Yeah, I just keep seeing screenshots from Darling in the Franxx, and I'm like, what the fuck is it? Shit looks like it's getting cool and weird and depressing and awesome, and I want to see it. And I haven't yet. I'm still only on episode like fucking 4. So anyway, there's that. And I do want to see what I can do to get into talking about more shows, and it's gonna be a little while till I get there. I did mention one of the fellas who sticks around in all my videos. You know who you is. My man's mentioned, was it Suzuka? Was that the name of the show? Which is something I'm gonna try and check out here at some point. Mentioned it multiple times to me, and I wasn't until I actually looked it up, like, hey, shit, I've seen stuff from this before. Like, I've seen the promotional art for it, or the box art, or whatever. And it was like, didn't know what that was from, and apparently that's what it's from. So I'm gonna try and take a look at shit like that here at some point. And just other things that are coming out. This video is way too long and has, the past 10 minutes has had nothing to do with Nomad, so if you stuck around for all that, thank you. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I enjoyed this episode, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next episode. Hopefully, again, my first situation is good, and I will be able to watch that tomorrow, hopefully, when it comes out. Anyway, I will see you guys then the next time. Toodles, and lemons, everybody. My mind is just a clusterfuck. It really is.